A United Launch Alliance Falcon 9 rocket carrying a NASA satellite lifted off from the Cape on Saturday, December, at 6:54 Eastern Standard Time, marking the beginning of a mission that will keep tabs on how Earth's land surfaces are changing over time. Welcome to the channel. It's me here, and what we have is a perfect Florida launch day. Sunny skies, no clouds, and a beautiful Falcon 9 launch that just took place right there a few minutes ago. This was a perfect launch. You saw that all the segments of the booster just fell into place, that the ascent went nice and smooth, that the booster engine shut down, and the second stage engine lit perfectly. This was a textbook launch, but more importantly, a very important mission for NASA. It's the first launch of their Surface Water and Ocean Topography SWOT mission, which has been in development for about 8 years now. And this is a joint effort with the Indian Space Research Organization. That's why you saw the Indian flag flying right up there next to the US flag on the payload. So this is a radar satellite that is going to measure things related to water here on Earth. We talk a lot about water here because it is vital to life, and it covers about 70% of our planet. But we know that changes in precipitation and the availability of freshwater resources are affecting people all around the world. So NASA created SWOT to study these issues. You see, we already have satellites that measure ocean temperatures, ocean currents, and ocean topography. We also have satellites that can measure ice in the Arctic and Antarctic. But we don't have any satellites that have the ability to do all of these measurements over land and over the oceans. So NASA built the SWOT satellite to fill that gap. This is a synthetic aperture radar, which means it uses radar waves to measure distances and map surfaces. When those radar waves hit an object, they come back in a particular way. And based on how long it takes for them to come back, scientists can determine how far away that object is. Using this method, they can make detailed maps of Earth's surface, and they'll be able to do that every 21 days. Because this thing is go around the planet twice per year, taking measurements as it goes. And because it's equipped with two really great instruments. One that's a single polarization instrument that emits and measures L-band radar waves, which will look at things on land, and another K-band instrument that will look at oceans. We're gonna get some incredible data sets coming out of this mission. They've be able to track changes in water levels of lakes and rivers across the globe. Flooding, droughts, snowpack, glaciers, sea level rise, and ocean currents. This is a very powerful tool. The other cool thing about this is that because it's being launched on a Falcon 9, we're not only getting one satellite deployed, but there's actually going to be room on this mission for a couple more small payloads. There's a NASA educational launch of Nanasatellites, or ELANA 51 mission that is deploying 3 CubeSats. There's a Firebird from the Air Force Research Laboratory, which will test the first ever operational handheld satellite communications transceiver. And then finally, there's a Lemur to CubeSat from Spire, which will test new radio frequency technology that could be used to detect objects moving at sea. So, again, a very busy flight for this Falcon 9, but let's talk a little bit about the launch itself, because we did have a slight delay today. Although it wasn't anything major, we were supposed to lift off at 6:46 Eastern Standard Time. So, when I woke up this morning, I looked at the forecast and saw that we had 90% almost certain weather conditions for launch. But that is always not necessarily a good thing. Because sometimes the rule is if you're not 100% certain, you're 100% not launching. But fortunately, SpaceX and the Air Force decided to roll the dice and go for it. And it is a good thing they did, because there was a 10% chance of rain and thunderstorms down here at the Cape around the time of launch. And sure enough, we started seeing some clouds rolling in. But, this is Florida. You expect that. And they held it right up until T, and then right at T. Everything cleared right on up, and we got a perfect view of that Falcon 9 taking off. Now, this is the 9th launch of this particular Falcon 9 booster. This is B1058. So, it's making its way towards that coveted 10th launch, which would make it eligible for retirement under the Bonus to Retirement program. What that means is that boosters after their 10th launch are refurbished and then reused for other missions. So, this is something that SpaceX has talked about for quite some time. And they even made a whole promotional video last year talking about the refurbishment process and how they were going to use these refurbished boosters to support some science missions. This is part of it. In fact, SpaceX is working on a mission for NASA called the Europa Clipper, which will go out to Jupiter and study one of Jupiter's moons named Europa. That mission is set to launch in October of 2024, and it will use a refurbished booster. So, if this booster makes it through this launch without any problems, it will be eligible for that. The interesting thing is that this booster was originally slated to fly on the Inspiration for mission back in November of 2021, and that's the civilian mission that ended up inspiring the Netflix series. But unfortunately, due to Hurricane Nicole, that launch had to be scrubbed. And so, this booster was shifted over to the OneWeb 16 mission, which launched back in March of this year. So, yeah, this booster has been around for quite some time. And as for the upper stage, this is actually the first flight for the Centaur 5 upper stage. Now, we've seen this before. We've seen the Centaur 5 upper stage on the Vulcan rocket, but that was obviously Virgin Orbit's mission, and that didn't go so well. So, this is the first time that we've see this upper stage actually work properly on an orbital mission. Alright folks, that's about it for this launch. It was a gorgeous flight, and I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I did. We'll have some more coverage later on. I think there's going to be some really cool footage of the post-splashdown recovery operations, so make sure you head over to our social media accounts and follow us there for more updates. I'm also going to be posting a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff like the drive to the Cape, some footage from the press site, that sort of thing. So, if you want to follow along, you know where to find me. Until next time, this is your host. And remember, just because something doesn't happen on time doesn't mean it's canceled. It just means it's delayed. Until whenever it does happen, fly safe.